Begin the last unit of the course, Unit 22, the digestive system. This video includes Part A, General Principles, and Part B, Anatomy. This unit includes 4 videos. This one is Parts A and B. The second video includes Part C, Digestion, and Part D is covered with 2 videos. General Principle. A few general principles of the digestive system. Let's begin with a donut. A donut has a hole in it. Actually, you're more like an elongated donut with a hole in it. An object that's located in the hole in the donut is not inside the donut. Likewise, food swallowed into the digestive tract is not technically inside the body. 2 processes occur to make the food available for the tissues: digestion, which is the breakdown of food, and absorption, that's the transport of the digested food into the body. Let's look at Part B, Anatomy. We'll look at the abdominal cavity, then the alimentary canal and accessory organs, and then we'll examine some of the characteristics of the wall of the alimentary canal. The abdominal cavity is the cavity below the diaphragm in which most of the abdominal organs are located. It's lined by 2 membranes. The parietal peritoneum is the inner lining of the abdominal wall. The visceral peritoneum is the outer covering of the abdominal organs. Membranes called mesenteries are continuous with the visceral and parietal peritoneum. They suspend the abdominal organs in place and develop from embryonic dorsal mesentery and ventral mesentery. Let's look at the mesenteries in a little more detail. The anatomy of the mesenteries can be understood if we first look at the embryo. In the adult, the dorsal mesentery has developed into a greater omentum. This is an extensive fat-filled fold of tissue over the intestines. It's attached to the stomach. The mesentery proper, which is a sheet of tissue suspending the small intestine in place, and the mesocolon, which is the sheet of tissue suspending the large intestine in place. The ventral mesentery, which was present in the embryo, has disappeared in the adult except for certain mesenteries. There's the lesser omentum, for example, a sheet of tissue located between stomach and liver, and the falciform ligament, a sheet of tissue between the liver and the body wall. The digestive system has 2 fundamental parts: the alimentary canal, also called the GI tract, as well as gut. Gut is correct terminology. It's the tube from mouth to anus. You remember the hole in the donut. It has 5 major segments. The accessory organs are the organs that are associated with the digestive tract. The entire system has a rich blood supply. The circle is the heart, and the lines represent the blood vessels. The nervous system controls much of the activity of the system. Let's look at the major segments and their subdivisions. There's the mouth, the pharynx, which is a region behind the mouth in which the air and food passageways cross. The esophagus, the tube between mouth and stomach. The stomach with 4 subdivisions: cardiac region, the fundus, the body, and the pylorus. The small intestine, which has 3 subdivisions: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. The large intestine has 4 major subdivisions: the caecum, the appendix, the rectum, and the colon. The colon itself has 4 parts: the ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon, and the sigmoid colon. Let's look at the model of the digestive system. We'll look at the 5 major segments. The mouth, also referred to as the oral cavity or the vestibule, the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, and the large intestine. Small intestine, as we said, has 3 parts. There's the duodenum, that's the first part. It's attached to the stomach. The jejunum is the second part. Its beginning or end can't be distinguished from the first segment or the third segment of the small intestine. And the ileum, the third section, it joins the large intestine at the junction. Note the folds called plicae circulares in the small intestine. We'll come back to those momentarily. The large intestine, we can see here the 4 major subdivisions. Caecum, the blind sac. The appendix, or vermiform appendix, is attached to the caecum. Colon is the major part extending from the caecum to the rectum. The rectum is the final segment passing through the pelvic region. What about the 4 parts of the colon? The ascending colon is the first part, which extends in a superior direction in the abdominal cavity. Transverse colon is the second part. It extends from the right side to the left side in the upper part of the abdominal cavity. The descending colon is the third part. It extends in an inferior direction in the abdominal cavity. And then there's the sigmoid colon, roughly S-shaped, the last part that joins the rectum. The taenia coli are bands of longitudinal muscle that are slightly shorter than the large intestine, and it tends to create bulges when the large intestine, chiefly present in the colon. Haustra, these are the names of the bulges in the large intestine. Let's look at the details. We'll enlarge the wall of the stomach and the small intestine because its characteristics apply to the entire GI tract. There are 4 layers. We'll look at the inner lining and sphincters, and then we'll discuss the nerve plexuses. 4 layers of the wall from inside to outside include the tunica mucosa. This is the inner layer of the GI tract. In the mouth, it's reflected outward as the lips. It includes an inner epithelial layer, a connective tissue layer, and a thin muscular layer. The tunica submucosa is the second layer, chiefly areolar connective tissue. The tunica muscularis, this is a relatively thick double muscular layer. It consists of an inner circular layer and an outer longitudinal layer. The tunica serosa, or adventitia, is the outermost layer. It consists of fibrous connective tissue, but it's covered by the peritoneum if the organ lies loosely in the abdominal cavity. The tunica mucosa contains many types of specialized glands and gland cells. It contains mucus-secreting cells in all segments of the GI tract. Buccal glands are scattered glands in the mucous membrane of the oral cavity, the mouth. Mucous neck cells are in the stomach wall. Goblet cells are mucus-secreting cells in the small and large intestine. Cells in Brunner's glands in the duodenum. Gastric glands are simple, branched, tubular glands in the stomach wall. They empty through gastric pits. Parietal cells in the lower body of the stomach secrete hydrochloric acid. Teeth cells in the lower body and fundus of the stomach secrete pepsinogen. Other glands and gland cells include enzyme secreting cells, cells in the intestinal glands called crypts of Lieberkühn in the small intestine, endocrine gland cells that secrete hormones, including gastrin from the stomach, cholecystokinin from the small intestine, and secretin from the small intestine. Sphincters are circular muscles in tubular organs. When they contract, they can close the tubular organ. In the GI tract, there are 5 of these circular muscles. They're found at the junctions of some of the major subdivisions. They include the cardiac sphincter between the esophagus and stomach, pyloric sphincter between the stomach and small intestine, the ileocholic sphincter between the small and large intestine, and the internal and external anal sphincters. Notice that in the diagram, the sphincters are shown as 2 blocks. That's because we've taken the ring, the circular sphincter, and sliced it in half. The external anal sphincter consists of skeletal muscle. The internal, of course, is smooth muscle. The sphincters help to regulate the movement of material through the alimentary canal. The internal surface area of the digestive tract must be greatly increased. It's necessary for absorption of the digested food. There are folds, for example, throughout the alimentary canal. The plicae circularis are the folds in the small intestine. The semilunar plicae are half folds in the large intestine. In the stomach, the folds are called rugae. Villi are microscopic finger-like projections from the tunica mucosa in the small intestine. What about glands? Well, many glands exist, as we've mentioned. Then there are the nerve plexuses. These are nerve networks within the wall of the GI tract. It forms something called the enteric nervous system. It's supplied by the autonomic nervous system. Parasympathetic is mainly the vagus nerve. This is chiefly found to the esophagus, stomach, large intestine. Postganglionic neurons form part of the enteric nervous system and synapse with part of the enteric nervous system. Sympathetic synapses in the enteric nervous system, there may be 3. Submucosal plexus is the tunica in the tunica mucosa. This plays a role in controlling secretions. It also has an important sensory component. The myenteric plexus is found between the longitudinal and circular layers of the muscle in the tunica muscularis. It's a motor controller, mainly controls motility. Subserous plexus is between the serous membrane, and some consider it not to exist. The accessory organs include the salivary glands, such as the parotid, the submaxillary, and the sublingual. It includes the liver. This is the largest gland in the body. The gallbladder, not technically a gland, it's a storage sac that extends from the liver. It's connected with tubes or ducts, including the cystic duct from the gallbladder outward, the hepatic duct from the liver, and a common bile duct arising from the junction of the 2 just mentioned. Pancreas connects to the duodenum by the pancreatic duct. Here are the salivary glands in the torso model. They join the mouth with salivary duct. Parotid gland is the largest, located in the cheeks. The submaxillary or submandibular glands are the second largest. They're located beneath the back of the jaw. The sublingual is the smallest, located roughly under the tongue and along the anterior border of the submaxillary gland. The liver deserves some attention. Let's look at the microscopic anatomy. Remember, the liver has a dual blood supply. Hepatic artery supplies fresh blood, arterial blood to the liver, carrying oxygen and nutrients for the liver cells. The hepatic portal vein, on the other hand, is the supplier of absorbed nutrients. It brings the nutrients from the digestive system, or the tract, to the liver. The hepatic vein is a single vein that drains the liver. So you see that the two arteries leading to the vein, or the two vessels, I should say, the blood then combines and exits the liver in a single vein. Liver tissue is often arranged in the form of hepatic lobules. Now, this is more prominent in the pig liver, less so in the human liver. Hepatocytes are the liver cells. They're arranged in plates, which are separated by hepatic sinusoids. These are blood-filled spaces or channels. A central vein in the middle of the lobule receives blood from the hepatic sinusoids and supplies blood to the hepatic veins, which then exits the liver. Two blood vessels and a duct are arranged in a triad located at the edges of the hepatic lobules. A branch of the hepatic portal vein is one. It receives blood from the stomach and intestines. It's the purple one in the diagram. A branch of the hepatic artery that receives oxygenation blood, arterial blood. That's the red one in the diagram. And blood from the hepatic portal vein and the hepatic artery. They mix in the hepatic sinusoids and supply blood to the central vein. Also in the triad is a branch of the bile duct, shown in green. It receives blood from the canaliculi, which are tiny channels along the plates of hepatocytes, and transport the blood to the hepatic or bile duct. Here's a view from a model. This is a model through the liver. The hepatocytes are arranged in plates. The central vein is in the middle. It supplies blood to the hepatic veins, which drains the liver, as we said. Central vein receives blood from hepatic sinusoids, the blood-filled spaces. The two blood vessels and the duct are the branch of the hepatic portal vein and the branch of the hepatic artery. Also, there's a branch of the bile duct that receives bile from the bile canaliculi. These are those small brown areas in the middle of the plate. Blood flows from the branches of the hepatic portal vein and hepatic artery to the central vein through the hepatic sinusoids. Blood flows within the canaliculi to the branch of the bile duct. We're now ready to progress to Part C under the digestive system.